Okay, my friends, so let's click on over to the All Parties Proportional tab. The last one we were in was the two main parties, and I think a lot of folks forget that there are actually more than just two political parties in the United States of America. In the 2016 election, there were actually these other ones. You had the Libertarian Party, which was Gary Johnson's party. Jill Stein was the Green Party. Evan McMullin was the Independent Party, and there were a number of others that I looped all together because it got a little ridiculous having, a dozen of them that were only getting a little tiny bit of the vote. And I think that's the problem. You don't hear about them very much because they only get a little tiny part of the vote. That is almost like what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Like they only get a little tiny part of the vote because a lot of people don't know they're there. But how are you going to know they're there unless they get more publicity? And that is a different discussion to have at a totally different time. In history, there has been a time when a third-party candidate did well. A guy named Ross Perot, back in 1992, took almost 1/5 of all the votes in America. He may have even won an electoral vote or two in a state. I'm not sure. Yeah, third-party candidates generally don't do very well. But they get votes, as you can see. Here's Gary Johnson's popular votes that he got. He got, over 4.5 million votes across the country. Jill Stein got about 1.5 million. What I'm doing is I'm clicking the column and then looking down here at the sum. McMullin got about 750 000, and all the other candidates combined got about 1.2 million. So it's not like they did badly. They just didn't get enough to register on the electoral vote scale. So what we're going to do is we are going to give them a voice in the electoral vote scale under my new kind of situation. Now, this is the same data you saw from the previous sheet for the proportional electoral votes for Hillary and for Donald. We're going to do the same thing for Gary together, and then I'm going to set you loose to replicate that for Jill Stein, of McMullin, and the others, and then you're going to do some totals again. So I want you to remember how we did these formulas for the percent of the state's popular vote. So you click in the cell you want to work on. I'm going to work on Gary Johnson in Alabama. And we're going to type an equal sign, which is what we always type before we start entering a mathematical formula. Then we're going to click on his popular vote share, which was 44,467. You don't type that, though. You just click on top of it, and that way the spreadsheet knows we're going to be using J4. Then I'm going to hit a division sign, and I got to wander all the way over here to the popular vote count per state, which is in C4. It's always going to be in C4 that you're dividing in these columns. Then you're going to press enter, and it's going to tell you he got 2% of the vote in Alabama. So Hillary got 34%. Trump got 62%. That's a total of 96%. 2 more percent was gotten by Gary Johnson. Now, here's the cool part. Once you type that formula, you see that little blue box right there? If you click and hold that, and then pull down all the way to the bottom of the yellow column, and then let go, it will copy that formula down in all the cells and keep track of which numbers you're dealing with. Those are called relative references, and they are fabulous. That's a wonderful, wonderful spreadsheet skill to know. We're going to do it one more time here in the proportional electoral votes awarded column, but you'll get good at that, trust me. All right, now we got to figure out how many electoral votes to give Gary Johnson from each state. So what we're going to do is we're going to click over here in the column next to that 2%, and we're going to go equals. We're going to click on the 2%, and we want to take 2% of, so of, and in a percent sense means times. So we're going to do 2% of, and then we have to click the number of electoral votes available, which is 9, which means he gets a whopping 0.2 electoral votes from Alabama. Then we click back in that cell, grab that little box, pull until you're at the bottom of the yellow, and then let go. And that's all the electoral vote. Now, notice they're all fractions. He did pretty well in California. He got 1.9 at California's, but everything else is less than 1, it looks like, which is to be expected. I guess he did pretty well in, what is that? Texas. He did okay in Texas, too. How did he do in Oregon? There's quite a few libertarians up in the northeastern part of the state. Yeah, 0.3 electoral votes, which, again, is not terrible. We only have 7 electoral votes in Oregon. He got a sizable chunk. I mean, he got a larger chunk of Oregon's electoral votes than he did Texas's. So anyway, that's how you complete these columns for each of the candidates. So now you know how to do it. Go for it.